I was involved in the appeal tribunals of the HPCSA for some time. And it became abundantly apparent to all the members of the appeal tribunal that the wording of the narrative test was a major problem. I just want to show you, I'm sure you all are aware and use this document. So what I'm showing now on the share screen is the Road Accident Fund RAF4 Serious Injury Assessment Report. And this is what the doctor has to fill in for the RAF4 assessment. I'm just going to go straight to the narrative test portion of this document. It's a very small portion on this form. There it is, paragraph 5. So serious injury, the narrative test. And Ian has already said, but I just want to show it to you on this form. These words here in paragraphs 5.1 to 5.4 are exactly verbatim the words contained in the regulations pursuant to the RAF Amendment Act. And I just want to draw your attention to problems with this wording. So let's start with the first one, serious long-term impairment or loss of a body function. The trouble is that is completely vague and non-specific, and it gives no direction into what makes an injury serious. Because, bearing in mind, the purpose of the narrative test is to determine whether the injuries are serious. That is what the Act says. The injuries must be serious. And this paragraph says the injuries are serious if the long-term impairment is serious, or the injuries are serious if the long-term loss of body function is serious. So that is a circular description. It doesn't help the doctor or the lawyer or the road accident fund to understand what requirements are there for it to be regarded as serious. So this doesn't take the wording of the Act any further to say when is an injury serious. The second paragraph there, permanent serious disfigurement, has got exactly the same problem. So if there's disfigurement, it might be serious, but it's only serious if its disfigurement is serious. So again, that's a circular description. It means nothing. It's using the outcome word to define the input. The third one, which Ian was referring to, uses a different word, severe. So severe long-term mental or severe long-term behavioral disturbance or disorder. Okay, so at least that is a different word. But how does a medical practitioner decide whether a mental disturbance or a mental disorder is severe or moderate? And one would have expected the regulations to provide that clarity. What circumstances or what criteria would render the mental or behavioral disturbance or disorder severe or moderate? Because without that, it's a completely subjective assessment. So one doctor's moderate might be another doctor's severe, might be another doctor's mild, without any clarification. The only one of these which is clear is loss of a fetus. So that at least is something that is meaningful. But for reasons I've said, 5.1, 5.2, and 5.3 are so vague as to be virtually devoid of meaning. Now, this was the problem that we were faced with in the HPCSA appeal tribunals when this started happening in 2010, 2011, 2012, etc. And what we found was not surprising, because a lot of medical practitioners wrote RAF4 reports and wrote narrative test reports, but they were all different. There was no order to them. There was nothing. There was no objectivity. They were all subjective, and they just didn't help. And it's not surprising that medical practitioners could not understand how to interpret those vague words.